Let me start by giving you an overview of how OutSystems works. In any organizations, there are already existing legacy systems. For example, legacy databases that we need to integrate with, Oracle, SQL Server, enterprise systems, ERP, CRMs from SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft, and others, legacy APIs and legacy code. So we might need to integrate with legacy REST, SOAP services, or even cloud services. Well, the first thing that OutSystems gives you is the ability to integrate with all of this. We have automatic connectors that allow us to tap into the transactions and data in these systems and then build our applications using the OutSystems platform. Once you're using the platform, you build your apps in a fully visual way. So everything from data modeling to business process modeling to business logic or integration logic, and even the UIs or mobile UIs are built in a fully visual language. And once your application is built, you click one button called one-click publish that will automatically generate and install the application in the server. Now, OutSystems supports two types of applications. You can either build responsive web applications that can be used in browsers, in PCs, tablets, and smartphones, or you can create native applications that run offline, integrate with the device, and that can run on iOS or Android smartphones and tablets. Now, once your application is built, you need to maintain it. So everything from auditing, troubleshooting, version control, feedback capture, monitoring, everything is built in and totally integrated into the OutSystems platform. Now that I've given you a high-level view of how OutSystems works, I'm going to show you multiple applications working with OutSystems from B2B to B2C, B2E, or even backend workflow applications, and then we're going to see how we can build and change these applications using the OutSystems platform. I'll start by showing you a business-to-employee field services application. What I'm looking at right now is my iPad. I'm going to open the first app that was built with OutSystems. This is a native application installed on my device where employees can log on to and immediately get a picture of all the work that they have for the day. So if you look at the top, you can see that the employee has 5 work orders pending to execute, and there's a map telling him the customers that he'll have to visit, the distance that he'll have to travel, and even items that he has to pick up from the warehouse in order to execute these work orders. There's a lot more, but let's just execute the main use case of the application. If I have 5 work orders, if I click this number 5, I will navigate to a page that gives me the detail of all the work orders that I have to execute. I have a map again telling me where I have to go, and I can now follow through and execute the work orders one by one. So I'll select the first one. This will pull up information about the customer. This information could come, for example, from a CRM. And now the iPad is going to give me, is going to use its native capabilities to help me execute my work. It gives me the directions to get to the customer's premises. If I click this call button, it will integrate with the native capabilities of the device. If I need, for example, to call the customer, if I'm getting late, I could even start navigation to navigate to the customer. And of course, it will guide me in the execution of the work order itself. So I'm going to click the button Start Work Order, and I'll now have a clear picture of what I have to do. Again, information of the customer on the left. On the right, I have the work that I have to do. I will install 2 devices, an IP phone and a Motorola, and then I have a few more check marks that I have to fulfill to execute the work order. When I install a device, I have to associate the serial number of the device to my work orders. So what I will do is click this icon on the top with the QR code or barcode, and this will allow me to scan the device QR code to associate it automatically with the installation that I've just done, avoiding any errors if I'm doing manual inputs of serial numbers, for example. Okay, I'm going to check these activities that are done, and I'm going to click Next. Again, now I will integrate to the device capabilities to capture a signature from the customer, so I can hand over this device to the customer. He can just review the work, click Agree and Sign, and he can leave his signature to confirm that everything is fine. Okay, so this is a great example of a business-to-employee application that works fully offline. Everything that you see also works offline, and that integrates with the device capabilities to simplify information capture and the execution of transactions in the application. The application that I'll show you now is a business to consumer application in a utility scenario. You can see it. It's called Smart Power. It's the first app in my iPhone. And if I open the app, you'll see that I can follow through the typical guide when I go into to a B2C application, and I can log in into the app. As a customer, I can see some stats on my billing forecast, the billing to date, the energy that was used. And we even have cool scenarios like, for example, being able to manage some IoT devices. We have 3 active devices at home. So if I click these active devices, I can see all the devices that I have registered. And we even simulated a very, very cool UI where you can control the temperature of your thermostat. The reason why we created this application is really to prove that we can create high fidelity, highly usable business to consumer applications that you can use to put your brand in front of your users. Finally, we can obviously integrate with the backend and automate transactions as well. If I go to billing and payment, at the top we can see the history of all the invoices that were paid, and we can see in this case that there is one unpaid invoice. And again, we can simplify the usage of the app with device integration. I can see the details of the invoice. If I click pay bill, this will trigger an integration with a PayPal credit card scanning capability. Okay, and if I scan the credit card, this will automatically get all the data from the credit card. And the point here is that with OutSystems, you have full flexibility to integrate with external plugins, as for example a plugin from PayPal in this case. We already have a bunch of plugins built in, the camera, the beacons, the barcodes, etc. But if you want to use other plugins, you can perfectly use it, and that will highly improve the usability of your apps. That is fundamental for the adoption by end users. Finally, I'm going to show you an example of an application that is a web responsive application in this case. With workflow and backend integration. The application that you are looking at right now is an order management app where a salesperson can log in and they can see information about his current target status, his success in terms of sales in multiple categories, and he can obviously see information about orders, products, and even opportunities coming out of the CRM. This is a responsive web application, meaning that it works not only in browsers in PCs, but it will also work properly in a browser in a tablet or even in a phone. So we are using responsive design techniques so that all the layout of the application adjusts to the form factor to show the right information to the user. Well, this application is interesting not only because it's responsive, but as I said, because it's a backend application that integrates with the core systems in the organization. So if we look at the architecture of the app, this is an app that integrates with the CRM, Salesforce.com in the cloud, and with an ERP on premises, SAP. The way it works is it synchronizes data from Salesforce into OutSystems, data about opportunities and about accounts. Then a lot of functionality is in the app, so product catalog, the supplier, pricing rules, sales metrics, and most of all, the order approval and creation workflow. And once an order is approved, this order is written back to SAP as a purchase order. Okay, so we have a great example of extending the core of our organization with a process that is in the OutSystems platform. So how does it work effectively? If we go to the dashboard, you can see that we can immediately see opportunities coming out of Salesforce.com. So this is an integration with Salesforce. We can see the opportunities listed, and if we select one specific opportunity, we will be able to kickstart the order process. All the opportunity data is brought in automatically from Salesforce.com. All we need to do is to finalize the order by specifying the delivery date, and also which are the exact products that the customer is going to purchase. In this case, we'll have a customer purchasing 1,000 USB cables with a 2% discount. We have a 30K order. If we save it, we'll be able to see that on top of the application, there is a workflow built in OutSystems. You can see the workflow here. It goes from draft to closed, and OutSystems will support the execution of this workflow through a BPM engine, a business process modeling engine that is included in the technology. So if I submit the order for approval, the order will change status into submitted status, and actually we have also updated the opportunity information in Salesforce with the calculations that were done in the order management system. So great example of a backend application with workflow and integration with the CRM and ERP. What makes all of these applications different is the fact that they were built in a highly accelerated way using the OutSystems platform. What you are looking at right now is the integrated development environment of OutSystems, and particularly at the order management application. If you look at the top right corner, you can see that everything from business process to interface to logic and data, everything is built visually in this environment with OutSystems. What you are looking at specifically right now in the center is the order approval process that is built into the OutSystems platform. This is the BPM technology of OutSystems. If we go to the interface layer, you'll see that every single screen and navigation flows are built visually with the platform. If I open one specific screen, let's open, for example, the dashboard that we saw when running the app, you'll see that the screen is built using a what you see is what you get editor. Okay, with a fully visual language, and that the developer can immediately preview how the application is going to look like in multiple form factors, in the tablet, in the smartphone, or in the tablet, in the smartphone, and also for the web. And finally, the lower level layers are also considered. So the logic layer is built in a fully visual way. For example, remember this application integrates with Salesforce.com, correct? So if I open the sync Salesforce accounts business logic, you'll see how we are getting data from Salesforce and synchronizing it to the local database. We integrate with Salesforce using a built-in Salesforce connector. This is a connector that you can find in the OutSystems Forge. We get all data about accounts, and then for each account we synchronize it to the local database. After that, we will do the same with opportunities. You can see that there is not one single line of code in this business logic. Everything is built using a visual language. In a traditional world, you would have to use Java or .NET. Here you use a visual language, and OutSystems will automatically get this logic running for you in the server. Talking about integration, you saw the usage of a connector, in this case with Salesforce.com, but OutSystems gives you lots of integration options. In the logic layer, you can integrate automatically with SOAP services. You can integrate automatically with REST services at the click of a button. You can even integrate with SAP BAPIs automatically. Just connect to SAP, you add a remote function from SAP, and everything is going to be included. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We have lots of Forge connectors. We can integrate with databases. What you can be sure is that if you have a system you need to integrate with, OutSystems will allow you to integrate with that system rapidly. The last layer is the data layer. This is where you design all your data models. So for example, we can see the data model that models orders, accounts, and opportunities. And we can not only design our own database tables, the ones that will be generated in the OutSystems database, but we can also integrate with external data models. For example, we are integrating with an employee's data model that has employee data, and with an external supplier data model that has supplier data. This is the order management module that is a backend application that works as a responsive web app. With OutSystems, as I told you, we also support the creation of native mobile applications that can work for iOS and Android. So what you are looking at right now is the model for the field services app. And just notice how the development model is very, very similar to the one that you used for a front-end web application. So everything from data, logic, interface, and processes are also built using a visual language. This traditionally is done using complex Objective-C or Java coding. What is different about the development of native applications is that in this case, OutSystems will allow you the creation of not only backend database tables, but also the creation of a local storage. And just as you can create a local storage, you can create synchronization rules so that once you go offline, you can have server data synchronized into your local database. Like in this case, I could automatically create a synchronization rule for product tasks onto my database. And just as I can have offline data, I can also have offline business rules. So you can see that we have client-side actions that will execute logic on the device. If I double click this calculate missing items business rule. This is the rule that calculates the items that I'm missing for the work order execution. Everything is done with the same visual language that you've seen before. Again, to do this in a traditional technology, you have to do it in Java and Objective-C. Very hard to learn, very hard to maintain, and very, very slow to develop. With OutSystems, you do it only once, and you do it in a highly simplified language. You've seen how quickly we can build applications with OutSystems visually. I would like you now to see how easy it is to change and add new functionalities to this app. So let's go back to the order management app. As I told you, this app is integrating with an external data source with supplier information. For your information, in this case, it's a supplier table that is running in an Oracle database. So what I would like to do is to give my users the ability to browse information about suppliers in the app. And I'll show you how fast you can do that. So I already have this data integrated into the app. This is just following through a wizard, and it's integrated, and we have it as a visual object. All we need to do now is to create the pages to support this information. So I'm going to navigate to my interface layer, and to create a listing page of supplier information, all I need to do is to drag this data source onto the navigation flow, and OutSystems automatically creates a listing screen. If I drag it again, OutSystems will automatically create a detail screen. Okay, so if I open the screens, they will have the functionality you expect. This is a supplier listing screen that lists supplier information from the external database. It just used the fields that were available in the database. We can obviously customize, like we can remove that fax information when you can put a contact name, for example. And a really cool thing is that as I'm using a responsive theme, this screen automatically works on multiple form factors. You can see it here how it would work, for example, on a smartphone. I created also the detail screen, and one thing that I want you to understand is that everything that we're seeing can be changed. We can extend, we can add our own widgets, like we can add a chart, we can add a map, we can add our business rules. We have full flexibility. For example, if in this supplier detail screen we would like to show a map with the address of the supplier, that's quite easy to do. All I need to do is to model a bit. I'm going to add a new container into my page so that I can see the supply. I have a new area on screen, and now I'm going to use my integration with Google Maps to show the address of the supplier on screen. So we have the map on screen. I need to provide the address, so I'm going to use the visual language to indicate that this map should display the address of the supplier that is currently on screen. We're good to go. We have built our application. So all I need to do in order to have this application live and running in my server is to click this big green button on the top. That is the one-click publish button to deploy and run the new version of the app. So the first step is to upload the model to the server so that it is controlled in version control. After that, OutSystems will generate a fully standard application in the server. And also create the data structures in the database server. Once this is done, it will deploy the app. So we not only generate the app and the scripts, but we deploy the app in the server. This means that it's installing it. For example, if I had a farm with 7 front-end servers, OutSystems takes care of the deployment to those servers. And now we're done, meaning that we have the new version of the app available. And one of the things that I would like you to be aware of is that this works not only for the web applications like we're seeing here, but it also works for mobile, meaning that if I deploy a new version of my field services application, that new version will be pushed to the mobile devices automatically. The users just keep on using the application. They don't even have to download or update the app, and they will have the new version, in this case with supplier information, maps integration, available on their device. So let's open the new version of the app. Of course, it continues working on the multiple form factors. Let's see it on the tablet, we can see that if we look at the menu, we now have a new suppliers option. Okay, so this is what I've just created. This suppliers option integrates with the external database to get supplier information and list it here. And if I look at one specific supplier, I'll be able to see the supplier information. I can even change it in the external database, and I can see the map with the location of the supplier. And of course, all of this is working in multiple form factors, so I could see the same thing working on the desktop, okay, the same supplier listing. You see completely different layout because it's adjusting to the space that I have on the device or in the smartphone. So what I've just done in front of you was to create two responsive pages integrated with an external database, integrated with an external map. I automatically deploy them to the server, and I am already using them in smartphones, tablets, and on the web. All of this done extremely rapidly because I leverage the visual language of OutSystems and the automation of OutSystems to do so. The last thing that I'd like to show you is that with OutSystems you can not only develop and change your applications extremely fast, but you can also manage the applications once they are running in your environment. I'm now logging in into the management console of OutSystems called Lifetime, and this is a console that lets me govern my whole ecosystem. The first thing that I see is the environment that I'm working on. You can see that in this specific case my infrastructure has a development and then the testing environment, but it could obviously have many more. You could have development, testing, pre-production, production. I can have as many as I want. If I go to the applications area of Lifetime, you'll see that I can do application portfolio management. I can see every single app that is running in my environment, and I can also get a clear picture of which version is running in each ecosystem. For example, I can see that this checklist for mobile that was created is running on version 0.1 in development and also 0.1 in testing, and it's already prepared to distribute to Android devices. So if we configure it to distribute to iPhone devices, it will also be available, and we could push it to the testing environment. And obviously, just as I can manage the version control, I can stage applications between environments. So just as the click of a button, this deploy button at the top, I can push a new version into the testing or into the production environment. Security is paramount for OutSystems. In the users and roles section, you can see that you can determine exactly what each user can do in each environment. For example, we can determine that developers can change and deploy apps in development, but they can't do anything in testing or in production. And finally, in terms of managing the apps, OutSystems will give you all the info you need to troubleshoot and analyze the behavior of applications. What we are looking at right now is the performance management capability of OutSystems that shows you automatically once an application starts running, it will show you the performance behavior of the app. We can, for example, see that the order management application is actually performing quite okay. 64% of the requests are fast, so meaning they have high user satisfaction, and we can even detail how the performance, where the performance problems can come from. For example, we can see that 44% of the time of the order management app is spent in the client, 9% in the network, and 46% in the server. There is a world of information. This is performance. We have errors. We have auditing of integrations. We can even go to the point of drilling down and understanding exactly where the problems come from. For example, if I look at the server-side performance of my app, I can see what are the server-side activities that are taking more time. Like I can see that this coordinates integration with Google Maps is taking 20 seconds, which is pretty bad if you have a user looking for it. So in a nutshell, what I want you to understand is that with OutSystems, you use a visual language to develop. And OutSystems will not only get that application running in the server, in the mobile devices, but will also make sure that all of that code logs properly every single error, it logs properly any performance problem, it logs properly any integration, and the developers don't have to invest 1 second doing that. OutSystems will just do it automatically for you. In a nutshell, with OutSystems, you can tackle all your custom application development needs, always with tight integration with your core systems. So the place you start is really up to you. I've shown you customer mobile apps, workforce applications, backend, workflows with integration. You can even build mission critical systems. It's really up to you where to start. So you can look at our customer base. We have mission critical systems for airline, for banking. We have a lot of field services app, pure field services. Sales field services is also quite common. Lots of flashy, sexy business to consumer applications. All of these can be built with OutSystems and avoid the hurdles of traditional coding for multiple technologies. So it's really up to you where to start. Our customers have done it, and we will be extremely happy to know what's the first challenge you want to tackle.